The wife came back from her business trip and yelled at me for not calling. I said, I called. Your boyfriend answered. My wife, Jiangyu, was away on a 14-day business trip. I didn't call her once. It wasn't that I didn't want to, it was that I did call. The first time, a strange man answered. The wife went out to buy groceries. She'll be back later. The second time, a child answered. Daddy, Mommy's taking a shower. I didn't fall apart. I just quietly saved the call recordings, then went about my life. Ate when I was hungry, slept when I was tired. 2 weeks later, she came back. She stormed in, face twisted with anger, and lashed out at me. I was gone for so long, and you didn't call me even once. Do you even care about me anymore? I handed her my phone and pressed play. Her face went pale. Second by second. 01. Jiangyu had been gone for 14 days. I made 2 calls. The first was on the 3rd day. The phone rang for a long time before someone picked up. A strange man's voice, thick with sleep, slurred the words, "Hello." I paused. "I'm looking for Jiangyu." "Who?" The other person seemed to wake up a little. "Jiangyu," I repeated. There was a few seconds of silence on the other end, then a deliberately lowered, amused, intimate tone. The wife went out to buy groceries. She'll be back later. Who are you? I asked. You've got the wrong number. He hung up directly. I stared at the phone screen. The call duration was 23 seconds. I didn't redial. I didn't get angry. I just opened the call log, long pressed, and selected Start Recording. The system prompted that, for privacy protection, the other party would receive a voice reminder when call recording was enabled. I confirmed. It didn't matter. Next time, I wanted him to hear it. The second call was on the 10th day. This time, it was picked up quickly. A child's voice, soft and thin, babyish. "Hello. Who are you looking for?" My heart felt like it was being squeezed by an icy hand. A moment of suffocation, but I still spoke, my voice steady. "I'm looking for your mom. My mommy's taking a shower." The child answered quickly. "Where's your dad?" I asked, almost involuntarily. "Daddy's cooking." The child's voice was full of happy pride. "Daddy's cooking is super yummy." A man's voice came from the other end of the line. The same one from before. "Lele, who are you talking to?" "An uncle. Looking for mommy." The man seemed to take the phone. His voice was wary and impatient. "Who the hell are you? I told you, you've got the wrong number. Why are you still calling?" "The system's cold." Mechanical female voice cut in at the right moment. "This call is being recorded." The other person froze, suppressed, panicked gasp came through the phone. Then, a dead silence. I could imagine the man's face stiffening instantly on the other end. A few seconds later, he roared with a furious, exasperated voice, "You're crazy." The phone was slammed down hard. The call duration was 31 seconds. I hung up. My hands didn't shake. My heartbeat was normal. I opened the phone's call log, found the most recent one, and saved the recording. I named the file Evidence 2. The first one was named Evidence 1. I locked the phone and placed it on the table outside the window. The sky was gradually darkening. The room was so quiet. I could hear the hum of the refrigerator compressor starting up. I stood up, walked into the kitchen, and opened the fridge. It was completely empty. Before Jiangyu left, she had stuffed the fridge full. She said, "Honey, I've prepared 2 weeks' worth of food for you. The meat is all portioned out. Remember to eat the vegetables first. Don't keep ordering takeout. It's bad for your stomach." When she said that, her eyes sparkled with a gentle smile. At the time, I thought I had married a good, virtuous wife. Now, it seemed that every item of food in the fridge was a silent mockery. I closed the fridge door. I put on my coat, grabbed my keys, and went out to the supermarket downstairs. I bought a pack of instant noodles, a sausage, and 2 eggs. A person still has to eat well. For the remaining 4 days, I didn't call again. I ate when I was hungry, slept when I was tired, work, exercise, everything was normal. But every night before bed, I would listen to those 2 recordings. The first time, it felt like my heart was being cut. The 10th time, I was numb. The 100th time, there was only a cold, calm emptiness. 2 weeks, I gave her 2 weeks, and I gave myself 2 weeks. Time was up. She was supposed to come back. I was waiting to see what kind of brilliant performance she had prepared. 02. The day Jiangyu came back was a Saturday afternoon. She dragged that silver suitcase and opened the door with a tired face. "Honey, I'm home." Her voice was laced with that familiar, cloying sweetness. I was sitting on the sofa watching TV. I turned my head at the sound. "You're back. My tone was flat. She froze for a moment, as if she hadn't expected such a cold reaction. In the past, when she came back from a business trip, I would be waiting at the door, give her a hug, and then take her luggage. Today, I didn't move. The smile on her face stiffened for an instant, then she plastered it back on. What's wrong? Aren't you happy I'm back? She walked over, trying to hug me. I leaned back slightly, dodging her. Her hand hung awkwardly in the air. The atmosphere instantly froze. Chen Kai, what's your problem? Her voice turned cold. Nothing, you just got off the plane, go take a shower and rest. I pointed at the suitcase by her feet. Leave the suitcase there, I'll help you unpack it later. She looked at me suspiciously, her eyes full of scrutiny. You're not right, she said. Am I? I picked up the remote and changed the channel. She stood there, as if weighing something. In the end, she dragged the suitcase to the bedroom door and unzipped it. Forget it, I'll do it myself. She started pulling things out, complaining non-stop. This business trip was exhausting, meetings every day, and the clients were a pain in the ass. Look at me, I've lost weight, and you, sitting comfortably at home, not even a single call. I didn't respond. My eyes were glued to the TV screen. A sports channel was replaying a meaningless football match. Chen Kai, I'm talking to you. She raised her voice. I'm listening, listening. I was gone for 14 whole days. 14 days. Not one call, not one text. Do you even have me in your heart? Her accusation began. I turned off the TV and looked at her. She was pulling a man's shirt out of the suitcase, deep blue, not my size, not even my brand. She didn't seem to notice. She just tossed it onto the bed with her own clothes, the motion smooth and natural. I stared at that shirt, and a cold chill settled in my chest. So that place had already become her second home. She was even mixing up the clothes she needed for a change of scenery. She kept going. I wait for your call. Every night, from dusk till midnight, I stare at my phone so much I'm surprised I haven't worn a hole in the screen. And what do I get? Nothing. Do you have any idea how disappointed I am? I'm out there, breaking my back for this family, and you can't even be bothered to say a single word of concern when you're at home. Her eyes reddened, her voice cracked, thick with tears. What a performance. It was a shame she wasn't taking home an Oscar. I stood up, walked slowly to the bedroom doorway, and leaned against the frame. Are you done? I asked. She choked on my calm demeanor. What kind of attitude is that? You did something wrong, and you don't even show a hint of remorse. What did I do wrong? You won't even admit it. You're giving me the cold shoulder. You don't love me anymore. She started frantically rummaging through the suitcase, as if searching for more evidence to condemn me. Then her hand stopped. From a hidden pocket in the suitcase, she pulled out a small, beautifully wrapped box. On it was a picture of a children's watch. The expression on her face instantly turned awkward. This is a gift for my nephew, she stammered. Your younger brother isn't even married yet. Where did this nephew come from? I asked flatly. It's from my cousin. Yeah, my cousin's kid. She quickly found a new excuse. I nodded and didn't press further. My gaze fell back to the suitcase. Are you done packing? Almost. She frantically dumped the rest of the contents onto the bed. I walked over, crouched down, and stood the empty suitcase upright. I unzipped the side pocket. I reached inside and pulled out a stack of things, a few supermarket receipts, the dates, exactly the 14 days she had been on her business trip, the location, a large chain supermarket in the city she claimed to be visiting for work. I flipped through them one by one. Milk, eggs, vegetables, children's yogurt, codfish sausages, cartoon band-aids, all household essentials for a family. The last one had the biggest total. In the item list, clearly printed, Lego Star Wars Millennium Falcon, 1 piece. I remembered that toy. It cost over 1,000. I held the receipts, stood up, and handed them to her. Your cousin's kid likes toys this expensive. Jiang Yu's face drained of all color in an instant. She stared at what I was holding, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. It was the panic of being caught red-handed, utterly defenseless. Knew her psychological defenses were starting to crumble. Jiang Yu's face was as white as a sheet of paper. She stared at the receipts in my hand, her eyes full of panic. This is, she stammered for a long time, unable to come up with a reasonable explanation. I didn't push her. I just neatly folded the receipts one by one and placed them on the bedside table. Then, I opened the drawer of the nightstand. Inside were my car keys, my wallet, and some odds and ends. I took them out one by one and set them on the surface. Finally, from the very back of the drawer, I pulled out an envelope, a thick, yellow manila envelope. I dumped the contents onto the bed, a stack of photos scattered across the covers. The photos were of Jiangyu. She was smiling brightly, her arm linked with a strange man's, walking in the sunlight. The man was holding a child, maybe 4 or 5 years old. The three of them looked like a family. The background was the entrance of a kindergarten. There were more than one photo. There were shots of them playing in the park, eating at a restaurant, and even shopping at a supermarket together, in every single one. Jiangyu's face was glowing with happiness, that kind of smile. I hadn't seen it on her face in a long time. Chen Kai, you had me investigated. Jiangyu's voice trembled, not from anger, but from fear. It wasn't an investigation, I said. It was just that, before your trip, I called a car to take you to the airport. The driver asked a casual question. What did he ask? He said, to the international airport in the south of the city. I said, no, to the high-speed rail station. I looked at her, speaking each word deliberately. Jiangyu, the ticket your company booked for your business trip had a destination of Shenzhen, but the high-speed rail station could take you to another city, one that's only a 2-hour drive away. I didn't think much of it at the time. I just assumed you changed your plans, until I made that first phone call. Jiangyu's body swayed, and she had to grab the edge of the bed to steady herself. Gone was the arrogance and grievance from before. All that remained was the ugly, pale face of someone whose every lie had been exposed. So, for these past 2 weeks, you weren't even acting, you were just waiting for me to come back so you could watch me make a fool of myself. Her voice turned shrill, carrying the madness of someone who had given up all pretense. Yes, I had an affair. So what? She finally admitted it. You forced me, Chen Kai, you forced me. She started screaming hysterically. Look at you, all you do every day is work, work, work. Did you ever care about me? Did you ever ask if I was happy today? We've been married for 3 years. Do you remember my birthday? Do you remember our wedding anniversary? You're like a block of ice, impossible to warm up. I've had enough. I really can't take it anymore. She shifted all the blame onto me, just as I had imagined. Cheaters always have 10,000 reasons for themselves. I didn't argue with her. It was pointless. I just watched her vent, watched her cry, watched her throw her tantrum like I was watching a clown that had nothing to do with me. When she finally tired herself out from shouting and crying, the room fell silent. She collapsed to the floor, her hair a mess, her makeup ruined, her eyes swollen and red. Are you done? I asked the same question again. She looked up at me with a venomous glare. Chen Kai, you're a monster. Maybe. I pulled my phone out of my pocket, unlocked it, and tapped on an audio file. You asked me why I never called you, didn't you? I looked at her, my eyes devoid of any warmth. Because I did call. Listen, hear who answered. I pressed play. From my phone, the man's voice came through clearly, thick with the grogginess of just waking up. Hello, my wife went out to buy groceries. She'll be back in a bit. The moment Jiangyu heard the word wife, her pupils contracted sharply. It was as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her entire body went rigid. The recording finished. I didn't stop. I tapped the second one. A child's innocent, carefree voice echoed through the dead silent bedroom. Hello, who are you looking for? I'm looking for your mom. My mom is taking a shower. And your dad? Dad is cooking. When that line, Dad's cooking is so yummy, rang out, Jiangyu completely broke down. She let out a scream that didn't sound human. Lunging at me to snatch my phone, I stepped back, dodging her easily. She missed. Crashing onto the floor, she lay there, lifted her head, her face streaked with tears and despair. As she stared at me, you recorded all of this? Yes, Chen Kai, she began to plead. Let me explain. It's not what you think. Oh, I raised an eyebrow. Then what is it? My phone was still in my hand. The screen was on, the call log clearly visible. I was ready to hear her final, most brilliant performance. I wanted to see, in the face of irrefutable evidence, what kind of lie she could still spin. 04. Jiangyu lay on the floor, her body shaking violently with sobs. She lifted her head, her face a mess of tears and smeared makeup. Utterly disheveled. Chen Kai, listen to me. Her voice was hoarse, laced with a hint of pleading. All right, I'm listening. I pulled out the chair from the desk and sat down, crossing my legs. I put on an air of eager listening. My calmness seemed to terrify her more than any angry outburst. She took a deep breath, as if summoning every ounce of strength, and began weaving her story. That first call, the man, he's my colleague, old Wang. Our department trip, there was a team-building event, not a business trip. That night, we all had dinner together and drank too much. We booked a few rooms at the hotel to rest. My phone was dead, so I used his to charge mine. When you called, I was in the bathroom. He was just drunk and messing around with me. That wife stuff, it was just drunk talk. Don't take it seriously. She looked at me desperately, her eyes pleading. Believe me, team building. I repeated, yes, exactly that. She clung to it like a lifeline. Does your company allow family members on team building trips? I asked. What family? She was taken aback. I didn't say anything. I just gestured with my eyes toward the photos scattered on the bed. In them, she, that man, and a child were together, intimately close. Old Wang, is divorced. It's tough raising a kid alone, so he brought the child along on the trip. The company made a special exception. Her lies were coming faster and faster, more and more outlandish. Is that so? From the stack of photos, I pulled one out. It showed them shopping at a supermarket. Jiang Yu was pushing a cart, the child sitting inside, while the man was reaching for a carton of children's yogurt on the shelf. Your team-building trip included a group outing to the supermarket to buy household supplies. I tossed the photo in front of her. Her face went a shade paler. That was free time. I was just helping him watch the kid. What's the big deal, Chen Kai? Can't you stop being so twisted? I just thought the kid was cute and helped out a bit. Is that a crime? She started to counterattack, trying to seize the moral high ground. No crime at all. I nodded in agreement. Then, I picked up the stack of shopping receipts from the nightstand. I pulled out the top one. During your free time on the team-building trip, you also help your colleague buy groceries. I read the contents of the receipt aloud. Broccoli, 1 pound, carrots, 2, pork loin, 300 grams, and this, cod sausage, the children's kind. I paused, looking at her. Jiang Yu, you never cook. Our kitchen, you barely step into it twice a year. You can't even tell soy sauce from vinegar. Yet now you're at the supermarket, expertly buying groceries and cooking for a male colleague. Do you think, even you believe that story? Every word I spoke was like a spike, driving deep into the lies she had woven. Her mouth hung open, but no sound came out. The color drained from her face, inch by inch. I didn't stop. I pulled out the second receipt, and this, cartoon band-aids. I remember you hate cartoon patterns, said they were childish. I pulled out a third, this, a Lego set, 1,299, Jiang Yu, the most expensive gift you ever bought me was a 300 yuan tie, and that was for our wedding anniversary. You're more generous to a colleague's child than you are to your own husband. Jiang Yu's body began to tremble. It wasn't an act, it was an uncontrollable, physiological shudder. The world of lies she had built was crumbling piece by piece. Every detail had become evidence against her. She tried to speak, but only a hoarse rasp came from her throat. The room fell into a deathly silence. Only her heavy, fear-laced breathing could be heard. I looked at her, my eyes holding neither pity nor satisfaction, only a barren, desolate coldness. I waited a long time, for her to recover slightly from the massive shock. Then, I picked up my phone and tapped the play button for the second recording. The screen's glow reflected off my expressionless face. As for that man, your explanation was quite entertaining, though full of holes. So now, let's talk about this child. I raised my eyes, meeting her fear-dilated pupils. Tell me, why did this colleague's child call him Dad, and why, in that home, was it you, not the child's biological mother, taking a shower? 05. My questions cut like twin blades, completely stripping away Jiang Yu's last shred of dignity. All her disguises vanished, leaving only raw, naked despair. I don't know. She clutched her head like a wounded beast, muttering incoherently. You don't know? I let out a soft laugh, devoid of any warmth. Jiang Yu, even now, are you still going to keep up the act? My word struck a nerve. She jerked her head up, her eyes bloodshot, her face twisted with a mix of resentment and madness. Yes, I was with him. I lived with him and his son. She finally tore off her mask, screaming like a cornered animal. So what? Isn't this all your fault, Chen Kai? She scrambled up from the floor, pointing at my nose, launching into another round of accusations. Your fault? How is it my fault? You still won't admit it. Her voice was shrill and grating. We've been married for 3 years. How many times have you touched me? Every day you come home, it's either your computer or your books. When have you ever shared your true feelings with me? When I was happy, you said I was noisy. When I was sad, you said I was annoying. This home was just a hotel to you. I'm a living person. I have feelings. I need company. I need love. Did you ever give me any of that? He's different. He talks to me. He cooks for me. He takes care of me when I'm sick. He even lets me play with his son's favorite toys. He makes me feel loved, needed. Do you even understand that feeling? No, you don't. You cold-blooded monster. She blamed everything on my coldness, as if her betrayal was something natural, even pitiable. I listened quietly, no anger, no rebuttal, because I knew that arguing about right and wrong with someone who had completely lost their moral compass was the stupidest thing in the world. When she was exhausted from shouting, gasping for breath, I finally spoke slowly. So, for this love and need, you felt perfectly justified in destroying another family. I didn't, she immediately retorted. He was divorced long ago. He's a pitiful man. Pitiful. I stood up and walked over to her. I was a head taller, looking down at her, exerting immense pressure. Jiangyu, how long have you known him? Not long. Her eyes began to dart away. How long? I pressed, my voice soft but carrying undeniable authority. Over a year, she whispered. Over a year. I repeated the time, chewing on those words. So, during this past year, all your so-called overtime, business trips, and shopping with girlfriends were actually to see him. She didn't answer, which was as good as an admission. You took our joint savings to buy expensive toys for his son, to furnish his place with appliances, to pay his property fees. I pulled out my phone and opened a photo. It was the transaction records from our joint account that I had dug up over the past 2 weeks. There were several large payments, with the recipients being an appliance store and a property management company. The addresses were all in the city where that man lived. When Jiangyu saw the photo, she was completely stunned. She hadn't expected me to dig so deep. I just wanted to know where my money was going. I put my phone away. You're truly pitiful, Jiangyu. I called her name with a tone of pity for the first time. You think you found true love, a warm harbor, but really, you've just found a man who's comfortable living off you and a tool to let you play mother. You're lost in your own self-sacrificing devotion, thinking you're saving a pitiful man, and that this is the meaning of life. Have you ever wondered why that man chose you? Was it because you're young and pretty, or because you're gentle and kind? No, I answered for her. It's because you're easy to fool, and because you have money in your pocket. That's not true, Jiangyu shrieked, like someone stepping on her tail. He truly loves me. We truly love each other. Truly love each other. I laughed. Then why didn't he divorce and marry you? Oh, he's already divorced. So why didn't he ask you to divorce and then marry you? He said he didn't want to hurt you. Even she sounded weak saying it. Didn't want to hurt me. I shook my head. Jiangyu, you're too naive. He just doesn't want to lose a stable, free ATM. Shut up. I won't let you talk about him like that. She tried to push me. Emotional. I grabbed her wrist, not hard, but enough to hold her still. Wake up. I looked into her eyes and said, word by word, the game is over. She froze. What do you mean? I released her and stepped back, creating distance. Let's talk about the divorce. She looked as if I had told the biggest joke. Divorce, Chen Kai, what right do you have to bring up divorce? Her face showed her final madness and ferocity. You think catching me like this means you can make me leave with nothing? I'm telling you, impossible. This house is half mine. The savings in the bank are half mine too. If we go to court, I'll say you abused me, that you're impotent. Let's see who ends up more humiliated. She started threatening me recklessly. This was her last weapon. I looked at her like she was a clown. Are you sure you want to go to court? I asked. Yes, I'm sure. She gritted her teeth. If I can't be happy, you won't be either. All right. I nodded. Then, from under the stack of photos, I pulled out the last document. It was a neatly printed, bound, divorce agreement. I placed the divorce agreement on the bed in front of Jiangyu. Black ink on white paper, the title glaring. She stared at those words, frozen in place. What is this? Her voice was hoarse. You want a divorce, don't you? I said. I've already drawn up the agreement. Take a look. Her head snapped up, her eyes wide with disbelief. You had this ready all along. I saw the lawyer the day before you got back." My words hit her like a bucket of ice water, drenching her from head to toe. They yanked her out of her hysterical frenzy and plunged her into a chilling stillness. A deeper fear seized her now, the kind that sinks into your bones. She realized the situation had spiraled far beyond her control. She thought she was the player, the one moving the pieces, but she never knew she'd been a pawn from the very start, calculated, cornered, and exposed. Her hands trembling, she picked up the agreement. She flipped to the first page. It laid out the terms for asset division. The house, bought outright by my parents before our marriage, registered under my name, was my personal property. The car, purchased before the wedding, was mine too. As for the savings, there was $50,000 in our joint account. The agreement stated that because Jiang had committed a major fault during the marriage, specifically, transferring joint assets without consent, she would forfeit any claim to that portion. In other words, she'd walk away with nothing. No, that's impossible. Jiang went berserk. She tore the agreement to shreds, her movements frantic and wild. "Chen Kai, don't you dare think you can do this. I'm not signing, not a single word." Shreds of paper fluttered down like snowflakes, scattering across the floor. I watched her performance, unmoved. Tearing it up won't help. I have the digital copy on my computer. I can print another one anytime. I pulled out my phone and opened a folder. Inside, there was more evidence. Did you think all I had were recordings and photos? I tapped on a video. It was footage from the surveillance camera in my building's hallway. The timestamps showed many different Friday nights over the past year. In every clip, Jiang was dressed up, pulling a small suitcase as she headed out. You'd say you were going to work overtime or on a business trip, and you always left from home. But I shifted the tone. I checked the ETC records for our car. I pulled up another image, a screenshot from the ETC backend. It was packed with entry and exit logs. Over the past year, this car made 37 trips. Every time, between 7 and 8 on a Friday night, it passed through the toll station west of the city. The exit was that city 2 hours away. Then, between 9 and 10 on Sunday night, it had come back through the same toll station. Jiang, your business trips were remarkably consistent. Her lips had lost every trace of color. She stared blankly at the records on my phone, her body swaying as if she might collapse. I also checked your spending records. I kept scrolling. Every month, you paid 3,000 yuan to a private kindergarten in that city. The note said Leilei's tuition. You also bought an 8,000 yuan package at a children's photography studio there. The subject was Leilei again. You even used our money to rent an underground parking spot in that man's neighborhood, 500 a month. With every word I said, Jiang face grew paler. By the end, she was ashen. She thought she had covered her tracks flawlessly. She thought I was oblivious, numb, blind to it all. She was wrong. I wasn't unaware. I was just waiting for the perfect moment to lay every card on the table and slam them all in her face at once. "So, do you still think dragging this to court is in your best interest?" I put my phone away and looked at her. "All this evidence you've gathered, you found it yourself. A judge might not buy it," she said, making one last desperate stand. "Is that so?" I walked over to the bed, pulled out the last item from the brown envelope. A business card. "This is Lawyer Lee, the best divorce attorney in the city. I've had all the evidence notarized. The recordings, photos, videos, spending records, and travel logs. Lawyer Lee says if we take this to court, we have a 100% chance of winning. When that happens, you won't get a single cent, and the fact that you committed adultery and lived with another man as if you were married will be permanently recorded. Jiang, you're still young, you have a long road ahead. I'm advising you not to leave a stain on your life that you can never wash away." My voice was calm, but every word hit her like a sledgehammer, pounding into her heart. She completely crumbled. All her arrogance, her frenzy, her scheming, they shattered into dust against the ironclad evidence. She collapsed to the floor and burst into tears. This time, it wasn't an act, it was a genuine, desperate wail. The sobs echoed through the room, sharp and mournful. I didn't comfort her. I just picked up the torn pieces of the agreement, one by one, from the floor. Then I walked to the study, turned on the computer, and printed a fresh copy. I returned to the bedroom and placed the new agreement, along with a pen, on the floor in front of her. "Sign it," I said. "This is the last bit of dignity I can offer you." She looked up at me through tear-streaked eyes, her gaze complex. laced with regret, reluctance, but mostly fear. She knew she had lost completely. She picked up the pen, her hand shaking so badly that the tip scratched jagged lines across the paper. Just as she was about to sign her name, she stopped. She raised her head and fixed me with a strange, desperate look, like someone ready to burn everything down. "Chen Kai, do you think this is over? Do you think you've won?" A bizarre smile curled at the corner of her mouth. "Let me tell you, there's one thing you'll never figure out, and it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life." 07 Jiang Yu's words. "It's going to haunt you for the rest of your life," stuck in my chest like a nail. Her expression was no longer just despair or madness, it was a venomous, scorched earth hatred. She seemed to hold a trump card that could utterly destroy me. "What is it?" I asked, a sense of dread creeping in. She didn't answer directly. Instead, she slowly got up from the floor, walked to the dressing table, and pulled open a drawer. From it, she retrieved a file folder. She tossed it onto the floor in front of me. "See for yourself." Her voice carried a sick, twisted satisfaction. I frowned, bent down, and picked up the file folder. Opening it, I pulled out a single sheet of paper. It was a hospital examination report. At the top, the words, "Pregnancy Diagnosis Report," stabbed into my eyes like needles. I read further down, "Aim, Jiang Yu, age, 28, diagnosis, intrauterine early pregnancy, approximately 7 weeks." The date below was from 3 weeks ago. That was before she went to that man's city. My mind went blank, a deafening roar. Then nothing. Pregnant. Jiang Yu was pregnant. The realization hit me like a thunderclap, exploding inside my skull. We'd been married for 3 years, and there had never been a child. We'd gone to the hospital for checkups. The doctors said there was nothing wrong with either of us, just let nature take its course. But now, she was pregnant, right when I was about to end everything with her. "What do you think, Chen Kai?" Jiang Yu's voice rang in my ear, dripping with vengeful glee. "This child is yours, your own flesh and blood. So, do you still want a divorce? Do you still want to kick me out with nothing? If you dare, I'll take you to court. I'll sue you for abandonment. I'll make sure everyone knows you're a scumbag who doesn't even want his own child." She clung to this like her last lifeline. Suddenly emboldened and arrogant, the law protects women during pregnancy and breastfeeding. If she refused to let go, this marriage wouldn't end until a year after the child was born. Even if we did divorce, I'd have to pay child support. Property division would also tilt in her and the child's favor. All my plans, all my preparations, crumbled into nothing before this flimsy piece of A4 paper. This was a move I hadn't anticipated. I stared at the report, my fingers whitening from the grip. Inside, a storm raged. Was it anger, disgust, or a trace of unspeakable sorrow? I didn't know. All I felt was that fate had played a cruel joke on me. "Cat got your tongue." Jiang Yu stepped closer, scared, regretting it. "Chen Kai, let me tell you, it's too late. I'm going to have this child. He's my security for the rest of my life, and your eternal shackle. From now on, you'll pay me child support every month. This house has to have my and the child's names on it. Otherwise, I'll go to your company and cause a scene. I'll go to your parents' house. I'll ruin your reputation." She thought she had won. She thought this child was her trump card. I slowly raised my head, looking at her face, twisted with smugness. I didn't say a word. Instead, I pulled out my phone and, right in front of her, dialed a number. Lawyer Lee's number. The call connected quickly. "Hello, Lawyer Lee, it's me, Chen Kai." My voice was calm, betraying no emotion. "There's an unexpected situation. I need your advice." Jiang Yu's smile froze on her face. She couldn't understand why, at this point, I was still calling a lawyer. "It's like this," I said clearly into the phone. "My wife is pregnant, but I suspect the child isn't mine." There was a brief silence on the other end. Then Lawyer Lee spoke in a professional tone. "Mr. Chen, are you saying you need a paternity test?" "Yes, but a paternity test can only be done after the child is born." "No." I looked at Jiang Yu's face, which had turned pale as a ghost, and spoke slowly, deliberately. "What I need is a non-invasive prenatal paternity test. I need to collect a sample of my wife's venous blood and my own blood sample, right now, immediately. Please help me contact the most authoritative testing center that delivers the fastest results." The color drained from Jiang Yu's face in plain sight. It was as if all the strength had been sucked out of her. She staggered back 2 steps, bumping into the vanity table. "No, you can't." Her voice trembled uncontrollably. "Why not?" I hung up the phone and looked at her. didn't you say the child is mine? If it's mine, what's the harm in getting a test? It'll even make your threats legitimate." My words were like a hammer, shattering her last shred of hope. I'm not feeling well. I can't have blood drawn." She scrambled for an excuse. "Is that so?" I picked up the divorce agreement and the pen. Placing them in front of her again, "Jiang-yu, I'm giving you one last chance. Either sign this now, take your things, and get out of this house, or we go to the hospital right now for the test. If the child is mine, I'll accept it. I won't shirk a single responsibility. But if," I paused, my gaze turning icy cold, "if the child isn't mine, then we'll see each other in court, and then, you'll be facing more than just a divorce. You'll be facing fraud." 08 My ultimatum shattered every last bit of Jiang Yu's psychological defenses. She knew that any further pretense was pointless. A prenatal paternity test was the sword of Damocles hanging over her head. Once it fell, she would be utterly destroyed. She collapsed to the floor, her eyes vacant, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. After a long silence, so long I thought she might never speak again, she finally whispered in a voice so faint it was barely audible, "I'll sign." She picked up the pen. This time, there was no hesitation. At the end of that divorce agreement, she scrawled her name. The handwriting was crooked, as if it had drained her last ounce of strength. After signing, she threw the pen aside, her whole body seeming to go limp. "Now, you can get out." I folded the agreement, my voice devoid of any sympathy. She didn't move, she just looked up at me with a venomous glare. "Chen Kai, you're ruthless." "Not as much as you," I shot back. "Plotting against your own husband for a bastard child, trying to steal the family fortune." "Jiang Yu, when it comes to ruthlessness, I'm far behind you." The word "bastard" cut deep. She let out a shriek and lunged at me, but I easily pushed her away. "You have half an hour," I said. "Pack your things and disappear from my house." "Half an hour? If you're still here in half an hour, I'm calling the cops for trespassing." With that, I didn't spare her another glance. I turned and walked out of the bedroom. I settled onto the couch in the living room and lit a cigarette. Through the haze of smoke, I could hear her rummaging through drawers and cabinets in the bedroom, along with the muffled sound of her crying. I didn't bother with it. This marriage, as far as I was concerned, had been dead for 14 days now. Right now, I was just dealing with the corpse. Half an hour passed quickly. Jiang Yu dragged out the same suitcase she'd arrived with. Tears still streaked her face. Her hair was a mess. Her eyes burned with resentment and unwillingness. She walked to the door, slipped on her shoes, and rested her hand on the handle. But she didn't open it. She turned her head and gave me one last look. "Chen Kai, you're going to regret this." That line again. I blew out a smoke ring and ignored her. She seemed like she wanted to say something more. But just then, her phone rang. She pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and her expression instantly turned frantic. She stepped onto the balcony, lowering her voice as she answered the call. Even though her voice was quiet, the silence in the living room let me catch fragments. "Hey, Mom, I'm fine." "What, you're at our place?" "No, don't come." "What do you mean you're already downstairs?" Her voice shot up, sharp with panic. I stubbed out my cigarette and stood up. Of course, the most cliché drama never fails to show up. My mother-in-law had arrived. I walked to the window and looked down. A taxi was parked right in front of the building. The door swung open, and two people got out, my father-in-law and mother-in-law. They were carrying big bags of local specialties. Looked like they were planning to stay for a few days. Jiang Yu saw them too. Her face went pale as a ghost. She hung up, rushed over to me, and spoke in a tone that was almost pleading. "Chen Kai, I'm begging you, please, don't let my parents know, at least, not now. They're old, their health isn't good, they can't handle this shock. Let me go back with them first, in a few days. I'll explain everything to them myself, okay?" She grabbed my arm, clinging to it like it was her last lifeline. Watching her panic-stricken state, I felt nothing inside. "If you knew this day would come, why did you do what you did?" I gently pried her hand away. "Too late," I said. The doorbell rang right on cue. Ding dong, ding dong. Each chime sounded like a death knell. Jiang Yu's whole body went limp, and she collapsed to the floor. Knew her reinforcements had arrived, and I also knew that this show had to play out to the very end. I walked over and opened the door. Standing there were my in-laws, faces bright with smiles. "Shao Kai, we're here." "Surprise, did you miss us?" My mother-in-law cheerfully shoved the bags into my arms. Their smiles froze the moment they saw the mess inside the house and Jiang Yu crumpled on the floor. what's going on here? My mother-in-law's voice trembled. Yeah, why are you on the floor? Did Chen Kai bully you? She rushed in like a shot, pulled Jiang Yu up, and shielded her behind herself. Then she whirled around and glared at me. Chen Kai, I entrusted my precious daughter to you, and this is how you treat her. My father-in-law walked in with a grim face and closed the door behind him. Xiao Kai, what's really going on? Did you two have a fight? Jiang Yu hid behind her mother, head bowed, not saying a word. Her shoulders kept shaking, putting on a perfect act of being deeply wronged. The show had begun. Mom, please don't ask. Jiang Yu's voice came out choked with tears, perfectly balancing her grievance and her supposed big-picture thinking. It's my fault, I shouldn't have argued with Chen Kai. The more she said that, the more my mother-in-law's heart ached and her anger flared. What do you mean it's your fault? He must have bullied you. Look at your face, crying like this, your eyes are all swollen. My mother-in-law was like a mother hen protecting her chick, slicing me up with her glare from head to toe. Chen Kai, are you even a man? Can't you talk things out properly instead of pushing my daughter to this point? If you don't give me an explanation today, I'm not letting this go. My father-in-law was calmer, but he still sat down on the couch with a stern face. Xiao Kai, sit down and talk. What happened that made you two end up like this? He pointed at the shreds of paper on the floor and the suitcase by the door. What's this about? Are you splitting up? I didn't sit. I just walked over and stood in front of them. Dad, Mom, I spoke, my voice steady. We didn't have a fight, we're getting a divorce. My words hit the living room like a bomb. Both my in-laws froze. Divorce. My mother-in-law's voice cracked. Why on earth would you divorce? Did you find someone else? In her mind, if a man wanted a divorce, it had to be because he was seeing another woman. Jiang Yu immediately played along, crying even harder. Mom, don't blame him, it's all my fault. I wasn't good enough to keep his heart. Her words poured gasoline on the fire. My mother-in-law exploded, pointing at my nose and cursing. Chen Kai, you ungrateful bastard, a snake in the grass, what has our Yaya ever done wrong to you? She's worked so hard for this family, running around outside, and you just sit here at home, fooling around behind her back. Let me tell you, if you want a divorce, there's no way, not unless I'm dead. My father-in-law's face turned ashen. Chen Kai, do you have no conscience? When you promised us you'd treat Yaya well for life, and now you just want to divorce her. They went back and forth, piling all the blame on me. I didn't argue a single word from start to finish. I just watched them perform. Watched Jiang Yu, from behind them, flash a faint, cold, smug smile. She thought bringing in reinforcements would turn the tide. She thought under her parents' pressure, I'd give in and back down. She didn't know me at all. I waited until they were tired of yelling, until the living room quieted down a little. Then I spoke slowly. Dad, Mom, you want to know why we're getting divorced, don't you? Fine, I'll show you clearly. I pulled out my phone and opened that folder. First, there were those 2 audio recordings. I turned the volume up all the way. The strange man's affectionate, honey, and the child's innocent, mommy's taking a bath, echoed crisply through every corner of the living room. My in-laws' curses came to an abrupt halt. The expressions on their faces shifted, from anger, to shock, to disbelief. They turned to look at Jiang Yu. Her face was as white as a ghost. No, that's not it. Dad, Mom, let me explain. It's a misunderstanding. She waved her hands frantically, her words stumbling over each other. I didn't give her a chance to explain. I opened the photos. Her, that man, that child, like a family of 3, in the park, at restaurants, outside the kindergarten gate. One by one, they appeared clearly before my in-laws' eyes. A misunderstanding. I held up the phone, stepping closer to them. Then these, are they misunderstandings too? My mother-in-law stared at the photos, her body swaying, almost losing her balance. My father-in-law caught her, his face already twisted with fury. Yaya, what is this? He asked, his voice trembling. Dad, Jiang Yu couldn't get a single word out. I didn't stop. I kept presenting my evidence, supermarket receipts, all filled with things bought for that home, transaction records from our joint account, every single payment flowing to another man, etc. toll records, as regular as clocking in and out of work. Finally, I opened the hospital's pregnancy diagnostic report, and this, Jiang Yu is pregnant, 7 weeks, she says the child is mine, but just now, when I suggested a prenatal paternity test, she chose to sign this divorce agreement, walking away with nothing. I placed my signed copy and hers side by side on the coffee table. Dad, Mom, I looked at them, each word heavy and deliberate. Now, can you tell me, should I get this divorce or not? Is this family's breakdown my fault, or is it your good daughter who's been piling one green hat after another on my head? The living room fell into a deathly silence. My in-laws stood frozen, staring at the evidence on the table, at their daughter, whose face had lost all color, all their rage, all their accusations, evaporated in the face of these ironclad proofs. Nothing remained but endless shock and shame. Slap, a sharp crack of a palm echoed through the room. It was my father-in-law. He stood up, mustering all his strength, and landed a vicious slap across Jiang Yu's face. You, shameless thing, he shook with fury, pointing at Jiang Yu, his lips quivering, unable to form a complete sentence for a long time. Our family's face, you've thrown it all away. That slap from my father-in-law was heavy and brutal. On Jiang Yu's fair cheek, 5 distinct fingerprints immediately appeared. She was stunned, holding her face, staring at her father in disbelief. He had never even raised his voice at her whole life. Dad, you hit me. Hit you? I wish I could beat you to death, you disgraceful creature. My father-in-law's chest heaved violently as he pointed at the door and roared, get out of here now. I don't have a daughter like you. My mother-in-law snapped out of her shock too. She didn't yell at Jiang Yu. Instead, she collapsed onto the sofa, covering her face, and let out a wail of grief. What a sin, what a sin. How did our old Chen family end up with someone like you, Jiang? You completely broke down. The exposure from me, and the rejection from her parents, a double blow she couldn't bear any longer. She fell to her knees, clutching her mother's legs, sobbing loudly. Mom, I was wrong. I know I was wrong. Forgive me this once. I'll never do it again. Mom, please beg Chen Kai for me. Tell him not to divorce me. I can't lose this family. She pinned her last hope on her mother. My mother-in-law kept crying, her body trembling like a leaf in the wind. After a long moment, she slowly lowered her hands, revealing her tear-streaked, wrinkled face. She looked at her kneeling daughter, her eyes filled with disappointment and sorrow. Then, she turned to me. Xiao Kai, her voice was hoarse, tinged with a plea. Mom knows, it's Yaya who wronged you. She did wrong. She deserves to be scolded, even hit. But you two were husband and wife once. Could you give her one more chance? That child in her belly, no matter whose it is, it's still a life. Maybe wait until the baby is born, clear things up, and then talk about divorce. Okay, she still softened, or maybe, she was still trying to fight for one last chance for her daughter. Jiang Yu immediately looked up, her eyes full of desperate hope, fixed on me. I looked at the mother and daughter, and felt nothing in my heart. Mom, I shook my head. It's impossible. Some mistakes can be forgiven, but some cannot. Today, if I hadn't brought out this evidence, would you have believed me? No, you would have just kept pointing fingers at me, calling me ungrateful, a heartless bastard, and forcing me to give in. That was Jiang Yu's plan all along. She thought, as long as she had your backing, as long as she had that thing in her belly, she could control me forever. I won't give her that chance. My resolve was absolute, with no room for negotiation. My mother-in-law's eyes dimmed. She knew this divorce was inevitable. My father-in-law, who had been silent, finally spoke. His emotion seemed to have settled somewhat, but his voice was still icy. Chen Kai, this matter, our family owes you an apology. Divorce, it's the right thing to do. He walked to the coffee table and picked up the divorce agreement Jiang Yu had signed, walking away with nothing. She deserves it. He paused, then looked at me, a hint of pleading in his eyes. But I have one request. What is it? This matter, can we not make a big deal out of it? He said, the words coming out with difficulty. Family scandals shouldn't be aired in public. Our old faces just can't take any more shame. As long as you agree not to spread this around, I promise, first thing tomorrow morning, we'll take her to the Civil Affairs Bureau and get the procedures done. We'll also take care of the child in her belly. It won't come back to bother you anymore. I looked at him, a simple, honest man, bowing his head to me over his daughter's disgrace. I couldn't help but feel a pang of bitterness inside. Dad, I changed how I addressed him. Don't worry. My only goal is to get a divorce and take back what's mine. I have no interest in broadcasting her shame. As long as she cooperates, we can part ways amicably. Hearing my assurance, my father-in-law seemed to let out a huge sigh of relief. He nodded, said nothing more, walked to the door, and pulled it open. "Let's go." He spat out a single, cold word to Jiangyu. Jiangyu was still kneeling on the floor, refusing to get up. "I'm not leaving, this is my home, I'm not going, your home, my." Father-in-law let out a cold laugh. "The moment you betrayed Chen Kai, this stopped being your home." He stepped forward, grabbed Jiangyu by the arm, and forcibly dragged her out. Jiangyu screamed and struggled, making a complete spectacle of herself. "Chen Kai, you can't do this to me, I hate you, I'll hate you for the rest of my life." Her curses echoed through the stairwell, growing fainter and fainter. My mother-in-law stood up, walked over to me, and bowed deeply. "Shao Kai, I'm sorry." With that, she turned and hurried after them. The door slammed shut with a heavy thud. The room instantly fell into a deathly silence. I looked at the mess scattered everywhere, at the signed agreement on the coffee table. It was all over. I walked to the window and watched the three of them, father, mother, and daughter, disappear around the corner of the complex, still pulling and tugging at each other. There was no thrill of revenge in my heart, only a vast, boundless exhaustion. This 3-year marriage had been nothing but an absurd farce. Now, the curtain had finally fallen. I took out my phone and sent a WeChat message to Lawyerly. "The agreement is signed, see you at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance at 9 tomorrow morning." Then, I turned off my phone. I walked into the bedroom and, piece by piece, threw all of Jiangyu's belongings from the bed into the silver suitcase. Her clothes, her makeup, her photos, every trace of her, I was determined to erase. When I picked up the pregnancy diagnosis report scattered on the bed, my hand paused. Almost on a whim, I took out my phone and snapped a picture of one piece of information on the report. It was the name of the doctor who had performed the examination. I didn't know why I did it, maybe it was just an instinctive move. After I finished, I dragged the suitcase, now filled with all her things, to the front door. Tomorrow, I'd call a same-city courier to send it to her parents' house. From then on, we'd owe each other nothing. 11. The next day, at the Civil Affairs Bureau entrance, I arrived right on time. Lawyerly was already waiting there. At exactly 9 o'clock, Jiangyu and her parents showed up too. Jiangyu was wearing sunglasses and a mask, hiding herself completely. Her parents looked like they had aged 10 years overnight, their faces haggard. The entire process passed in silence. Photos, forms, signatures, stamps. In less than 20 minutes, 2 red marriage certificates were exchanged for 2 dark red divorce certificates. When I took my divorce certificate from the staff member's hand, I felt an unprecedented sense of relief. It was like a heavy mountain pressing on my chest had finally been lifted. As we walked out of the Civil Affairs Bureau, my father-in-law called out to me, "Shao Kai." He pulled a bank card from his pocket and handed it to me. "There's 200,000 in here. I know that over the years, you must have spent a lot of your joint money on that man. We can't figure out the exact amount. This is just our family's way of paying you back." I looked at the card and didn't take it. "Dad, it's fine, take it." His tone was firm. "If you don't, we won't be able to live with ourselves." I paused for a moment, then still took it. "The password is Yaya's birthday," he said, as if completing a major task, and turned to leave. "Dad," I stopped him. From my pocket, I pulled out another card. It was the card from our joint account. "There's still 500,000 in this card." I pressed the card into his hand, saying she left with nothing. In the agreement was to teach her a lesson, but I won't take a single cent of the money. You two keep it, take good care of yourselves from now on. With that, before he could react, I turned and left with Lawyerly behind me. I heard the muffled sound of my mother-in-law crying, but I didn't look back. At that moment, all the entanglements between me, Jiangyu, and her family came to a full stop. Over the next few days, I began to clean up my life. I gave the house a thorough scrub, throwing away everything that bore Jiangyu's mark. I replaced the sheets, the curtains, the toothbrush. I even had the expensive sofa we bought when we got married hauled away. I wanted this place to become my own space again, completely. A week later, life seemed to have returned to normal. I went to work on time, clocked out, hit the gym, and read books, but occasionally, in the dead of night, I'd still think of Jiangyu's last venomous glare and her words, "You'll regret this." I could never figure out, besides the child, what trump card she had left to make me regret, until one day, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. On the other end was a woman's voice, tinged with hesitation and nervousness. "Is this Mr. Chen Kai?" "Yes, I'm from the City Maternal and Child Health Hospital. My surname is Zhang, Dr. Zhang. I was taken aback for a moment, then it clicked, she was the doctor who had signed Zhang Yu's pregnancy diagnosis report. Hello, Dr. Zhang, is there something you need? Well, Mr. Chen, Dr. Zhang's voice dropped very low, as if she were calling from a secluded corner. I'm not sure if I should tell you this, but I feel you have the right to know. Go ahead. My heart inexplicably tightened. Your wife, Ms. Jiang Yu, came to our hospital last week and underwent an abortion procedure. This was something I had anticipated, but, Dr. Zhang's tone shifted. During her preoperative examination, we discovered some unusual circumstances. What circumstances? Her body is very healthy, however, based on our analysis of her endometrial thickness and certain hormone levels, we found, Dr. Zhang paused, as if choosing his words carefully, we found that it would have been impossible for her to have naturally conceived 7 weeks ago. My mind went blank. What did you say? To put it simply, Mr. Chen, Dr. Zhang's voice became clear and firm, the pregnancy diagnosis report your wife gave you is fake, she was never pregnant. The report used our hospital's format, but all the data was forged, even my signature was imitated. Our hospital is preparing to report this to the police. Forging medical documents is illegal. I'm calling today to personally warn you, as a private matter, that you may have been deceived. I hung up the phone and stood in the middle of the living room, motionless for a long time. The sunlight outside the window was bright and blinding, yet I felt ice cold all over. Not pregnant, from start to finish. It was all a lie, a malicious, meticulously crafted lie. She had designed to seize assets in the divorce. She had calculated that the sudden appearance of a child would throw me into complete chaos. She had calculated that I would be forced to compromise out of concern for my reputation and legal constraints. She had even calculated that, even if I were suspicious, I could only get a paternity test after the child was born. By then, she would have over half a year to keep dragging me along, wearing me down. She almost succeeded if I hadn't decisively proposed the non-invasive prenatal paternity test, something outside her knowledge, and completely shattered her psychological defenses. I dared not imagine what situation I would be in now if I had hesitated or shown even a moment of weakness back then. She would have dragged me, along with that non-existent child, into an abyss of utter ruin. I thought she was just unfaithful and greedy. Now I realize her heart had long rotted away. You'll regret this. I finally understood the true meaning of her words. She was gambling on whether I would uncover this shocking deception. If I found out, she would have nothing. If I didn't, then I would be the one regretting it for a lifetime. So ruthless, truly, so ruthless. I stood there for a long time before slowly coming back to my senses from the immense shock and lingering fear. A bone-chilling cold rose from the soles of my feet, spreading through my entire body in an instant. I had always thought Jiang Yu's trump card was that man's child. Was wrong. Her greatest trump card was her shamelessness and venom. She was never pregnant. That report was a carefully forged trap. She had used a fabricated life to try to hijack my life and devour my assets. If I had shown even a hint of softness or hesitation back then, the consequences would have been unimaginable. I would have been trapped in months of tug-of-war and torment, only to face an even bigger lie after the child was born. By then, she would have used every means to pin that illegitimate child label on me, leaving me unable to defend myself, my reputation destroyed. I felt a wave of fear, so I had almost fallen into the hell she designed. I picked up my phone, thought for a moment, and still called Lawyerly to tell him the whole story. After listening, Lawyerly was silent for a long time. Mr. Chen, your ex-wife really has broadened my horizons. Forging medical documents is already a crime. You can absolutely hold her legally accountable. Forget it, I said. My voice carried a hint of exhaustion. The divorce is done, the assets are split. I don't want any more ties with her. I understand, Lawyerly said. So about the hospital reporting to the police. I won't appear in court, and I won't testify. I just want this person to completely disappear from my world. After hanging up, I deleted all of Jiang Yu's contact information. I also deleted her parents. I blocked all mutual friends who might be connected to her. What I needed to do was physically make her evaporate from my life. As for how the law would punish her, that was the karma she deserved, and it had nothing to do with me. A few days later, I received a text from an unfamiliar number. It was from Jiang Yu. Chen Kai, you're ruthless. I didn't expect you to even plan around the hospital, but don't get too cocky. If I'm not doing well, you won't have peace either. That man, I've cut ties with him, he's just scum, cheated me out of my money, and even hit me. Now I have nothing, and it's all your fault. Just wait, I won't let this go." The entire message was filled with curses and threats. I stared at the text, expressionless, chose to delete it, and then blocked the number. To me, it was just the final howl of a defeated dog, utterly meaningless. Another month passed. I heard that Jiang Yu had been summoned by the police for investigation due to forging medical documents. To settle the matter, her parents sold their old house back home, begged for help everywhere, and compensated the hospital for its losses. As for that man, after draining Jiang Yu of her last savings, he vanished without a trace, taking the child with him. In the end, Jiang Yu lost everything: her money, her people, her reputation, and even gained a tainted criminal record. These pieces of news came from casual chatter among old colleagues. After hearing them, I felt nothing inside. Pitiful, maybe, but all of this was the path she chose for herself. The moment she chose to betray her marriage and scheme against the person sleeping beside her, she should have foreseen such an ending. My life has completely returned to calm. I redecorated that long vacant house into something I love. I swapped in dark-colored furniture, bought a massive bookshelf, and filled it with the books I enjoy. On weekends, I watch a movie by myself or go hiking in the outskirts. Sunlight streamed through the spotless glass window, spilling across the floor and warming my skin. It felt so good. One day, while sorting through old belongings, I stumbled upon my old phone, that very phone, the one that had recorded 2 crucial phone calls. I turned it on and opened the voice recording folder. Inside, there was nothing. At some point, I must have deleted them without even realizing it. Maybe that was for the best. Those filthy voices didn't deserve to exist in my world anymore. I formatted the entire phone and tossed it into the deepest corner of the drawer. Just like that, I threw away that unbearable past. I stood up and walked to the balcony. Down in the garden below, children were laughing and playing. In the distance, the setting sun was slowly descending, painting the sky in a warm, golden hue. Life was still moving forward, and I, finally, could begin again.